Joining me now, Congressman Steve Cohen, Democrat from Tennessee, who's signing on to a letter to Speaker Boehner asking him to postpone Netanyahu's speech till after the Israeli elections and the deadline for talks with Iran. Congressman, why have you signed on to this letter? What do you want the Speaker to do?
Well, I don't think we should have a person up for election in 2 weeks, and a person who's obviously being used politically to attack the president's position on negotiations with Iran that are so important. I would like the Speaker to put the speech off until after the latter of those two circumstances so that Prime Minister Netanyahu can have a dialogue that is not considered political and isn't political. Right now, the House of Representatives is being turned into political theater. A couple of weeks ago, there was an attempt to pass a bill that would have, in essence, revoked Roe v. Wade. And it was done at the time that there was a pro-life crowd up here marching on the anniversary of the passage not the passage, but the declaration of Roe v. Wade. And it was done for political theater. This is political theater, too. And the United States House of Representatives shouldn't be used for political theater. It's hurting the House. And I think what's going on now is hurting Israel because there's so many people, including myself, who are strong supporters of Israel, who don't think this is good for Israel. Israel needs to be close to the United States and close to the president for its protection and its future.
So let me ask you this. How many people, when push comes to shove, of the 435 members of the House and 100 senators, how many people are going to make good on a threat not to show up? I mean, it seems to me there's a game of chicken being played by Netanyahu here. He says, I'm going to show up, and I dare you not to come.
Well, to some extent, that's going on, and I just think by going, and I haven't determined exactly what my position should be on that day, but by going, you're being a surety to Speaker Boehner. Speaker Boehner should not have invited Prime Minister Netanyahu and put him in this position. Prime Minister Netanyahu should have understood that.
Well,
Congressman,
if I could just interject here, from all the reporting that we have seen, and it's not definitive, this was not sprung upon the Prime Minister Netanyahu. It seems he very much wants to come and speak and understands the circumstances under which he's coming to the country.
Oh, I'm not suggesting, Chris, that they each didn't have mutual motives, and there are mutual motives. Speaking before Congress with congressmen standing up and applauding, which would happen, will probably help Netanyahu in his election, and it helps Boehner with Republicans' appeal to people that are supportive of Israel, particularly the AIPAC crowd that's meeting in Washington that week. And it's kind of like whichever crowd comes to Washington, whether it's the pro-life crowd in January or AIPAC in March, we're going to use the Congress as a television studio to help promote the Republican tie to that group. And that's just wrong. We should be legislating, and we should be not interjecting politics and foreign policy. You know, the president controls foreign policy. And if these negotiations don't work, if there's not an agreement, there's going to be war. There's going to be bombings in Iran. And if Israel does that, which most likely they would do, they would need the United States' help or support. We are their strongest ally, and you just don't cause problems with the president who controls the military, not Speaker Boehner, at a time like this. So I think that this whole conflagrance of events is hurting Israel, and it's putting Israel in a bad position, and whether it's for the benefit of Prime Minister Netanyahu's election or what, but it's just not good.
Well, Congressman, we will eagerly await your decision if, in fact, it is not postponed. We will check back with you, Congressman Steve Cohen.